Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and today I am bringing you my ridiculously large August and September book haul. So I didn't do a book haul of my August books, so I thought I would incorporate them here. So we have 2 months worth of book hauls and I have way too many books stacked up around me, but I've read a few of them. I have more that I am in the process of reading that I have plans to read soon and ones that I just want to get to. So that being said, let's get into it. I don't even know how many are here. I'm afraid to count. So first off, let's start with August and the one book of these that I've already read. And that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I picked this up at a little free library because I thought that if I was ever going to read Colleen Hoover, that this would be the book that I would read. Do I have interest in reading other books by her? I don't know. But I read this one, and it is my first 5-star thriller that I have had in about 2 years. So the last 5-star thriller that I had was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. And this is the first 5-star thriller that I've had since then. I loved this book. Now, there were things in this book I feel like could be adjusted or whatever, like there are things that could be improved on, but overall I loved this. I was hooked and I was so intrigued and I really enjoyed it. So I have read this one and I'm really glad that I read it, and I'm really glad that I hauled it because I mean, a little free library to read Verity with how popular it was a handful of years ago, it's totally worth it and I really enjoyed it. All right, now let's get into the big list of the books that I haven't read yet. So the first one on my stack, these are in no particular order at this point because I piled them up and here we are. So they're probably going backwards through the month, more likely, but the first one that I have sitting here is one that I'm very, very excited to pick up. It's one that caught my eye and I instantly told my sister and my mom that I needed to buy it, but that is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Now, I have Babel by R.F. Kuang. I want to read The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I haven't read anything yet by R.F. Kuang, but this book sounds like it's going to be right up my alley. Super intriguing for me. I'm really, really excited to pick it up. These pages, however, I know that if you've watched anything about this book yet, you probably have heard, these pages are white. I don't like it. But otherwise, this edition is absolutely gorgeous. And it sounds so, so good. So this book, it's a little blurb thing that it says up here on the top. It says Dante's Inferno meets Susanna Clarke's Piranesi. Now, I've always been intrigued by Dante's Inferno. However, I did read Susanna Clarke's Piranesi and I wasn't a huge fan. I gave it like 3 stars when I read it, but it's what it's comparing it to. It says, in this all-new dark academia fantasy from R.F. Kuang, the #1 best-selling author of Babel and Yellowface, in which 2 graduate students must put aside their rivalry and journey to hell to save their professor's soul, perhaps at the cost of their own. Catabasis, now in ancient Greek, the story of a hero's descent to the underworld. This book sounds so good. I'm so excited to pick this up. Hopefully I'll be able to get to it really, really soon because I don't want to put it off. I am intimidated, but I'm also really, really excited. So this is one of the first ones I have from August. I got it like as soon as it came out. The next one on this list is one that I actually picked up for myself at the library because it was for sale at the library. And then my sister just happened to send me a copy of it too. So I have 2 copies and my daughter carries them around all over the place. She calls them the bunny book. And that is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. Now, I just read Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Lori Gilmore a couple of months ago and really enjoyed it. I gave it like 4 stars and I really liked it. So now I have The Pumpkin Spice Cafe and I can continue reading this series out of order, but I have it and I want to read it and I'm planning on reading it in the month of October. So very excited for this one. And my daughter calls it the bunny book because in Strawberry Patch Pancake House, like on this one, there's a little cat. But on Strawberry Patch Pancake House, it was a bunny. So that's why she calls it the bunny book. Just a little fun fact. The next one that I have is another one I picked up from a little free library. Very excited to try another one of her books, but that is One by One by Ruth Ware. I've read a few of her books. Some I've liked, some I haven't liked, but this one I'm really excited to give it a shot. So I liked Turn of the Key. I hated The Lion Game, and I loved The Death of Mrs. Westaway. So we're kind of in between on whether or not I like her books, but it says, evoking the snowy seclusion of In a Dark, Dark Wood, the luxe environs of The Woman in Cabin 10, and the cutting-edge technology of The Turn of the Key, this highly anticipated sixth novel is the Agatha Christie of our time at the top of her game. Getting snowed in at a luxurious rustic ski chalet high in the French Alps doesn't sound like the worst problem in the world, especially when there's a breathtaking vista, a full-service chef and a housekeeper, a cozy fire to keep you warm, and others to keep you company. Unless that company happens to be 8 co-workers, each with something to gain, something to lose, and something to hide. So we'll see. We'll see if it ends up being just like a whole drama fest or if it's one that I actually enjoy, but I'm definitely curious to try more by Ruth Ware. Next up is another one that I want to try. So I read Alice Feeney. What was that book? Okay, so I read His and Hers by Alice Feeney. I want to read Rock, Paper, Scissors, but one of them that I've always heard about being one of her most popular ones is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. So I picked this one up. This was also at a little free library. I get a lot of my books from little free libraries. If you haven't noticed that, I do, and it's really fun. But I got this one at a little free library, and it says, the New York Times bestselling Queen of Twists returns with a family reunion that leads to murder. Daisy Darker's estranged, secretive family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday party in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny island. They're finally back together one last time, and when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the world for 8 hours. Then at the stroke of midnight, as the storm rages, Nana is found dead. An hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must reckon with their present danger as well as their past before the tide goes out and all is revealed. So it sounds interesting, and I definitely like the time thing. I think that'll add a lot of tension into the story, and so I'm really excited to try this one out. Next up, I have a more historical fiction, which I don't read these very often, but I remember this one really intriguing me when I originally read the synopsis. So once again, seeing it at a little free library, I snagged it. And that is The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. This one, it says, on a quiet street in Dublin, a lost bookshop is waiting to be found. For too long, Opaline, Martha, and Henry have been the side characters in their own lives, but when a vanishing bookshop casts its spell, these 3 unsuspecting strangers will discover that their own stories are every bit as extraordinary as the ones found in the pages of their beloved books. By unlocking the secrets of the shelves, they find themselves transported to a world of wonder where nothing is as it seems. Okay, scratch that on the historical fiction aspect. I did not realize this was going to be magical realism. That just made this go even higher up on my list for wanting to read it. Very curious to try this out. Okay, next up, I have too many books by this author, and I keep grabbing them because I keep finding them for either cheap or free at the little free libraries, but I got another Michael Crichton. And then it turns out, like, the same weekend that I picked up this book, or the same time I picked up this book at a little free library, the movie was on YouTube, the free with ad movies, but I haven't watched it yet. But it's just kind of funny that the same weekend that I picked up this book, the movie actually was on YouTube. But that is Sphere by Michael Crichton. This one, I think I had Samuel L. Jackson in it, I think. But it says, in the middle of the South Pacific, 1,000 feet below the surface of the water, a huge vessel is discovered resting on the ocean floor. I love ocean books, like submarines and oceans. It's always so interesting. Rushed to the scene is a group of American scientists who descend together into the depths of the sea to investigate their astonishing discovery. Holy cow, the sun went behind a cloud. What they find defies their imaginations and mocks their attempts at logical explanation. It is a spaceship of phenomenal dimensions, apparently undamaged by its fall from the sky, and most startling, it appears to be at least 300 years old. So it sounds interesting. His books are really hit and miss. I keep trying them though. I keep wanting them. I keep grabbing them. I don't know why, but I still want to try it. Next up for August, I have Phaedra. This is by Laura Shepperson. This is another one, I believe, from a little free library. I think. So there we go. Says Phaedra has been cast to the side all her life, daughter of an adulteress, sister of a monster, and now unwilling bride to a much older, power-hungry Theseus. Young, naive, and idealistic, she has accepted her lot in life, resigned to existing under the sinister weight of Theseus's control and the constant watchful eye of her handsome stepson, Hippolytus. When supposedly pious Hippolytus assaults her, Phaedra's world is darkened in the face of untouchable, prideful power. In the face of injustice, Phaedra refuses to remain quiet any longer. Such an awful truth demands to be brought to light. When Phaedra publicly accuses Hippolytus of rape, she sparks an overdue reckoning. The men of Athens gather to determine the truth. Meanwhile, the women of the city who have no vote are gathering in the shadows. The women know truth is a slippery thing in the hands of men. There are two sides to every story, and theirs has gone unheard until now. So I've always been curious about reading more about like the Greek mythology and stuff. So I have Circe and I have this one now. I'm really curious to try them, see if it's something that I'm into or not. But we'll see. I'm definitely curious to try it. Like I said, I don't really know much about it. I think it could be something that I could really get into, but I just don't know because I don't know a lot about like the myths behind it, like the ancient history. So I'm just curious to try them. Next up, I found this one at Goodwill, and I could not believe that I found a book by this author at Goodwill. So I had to snag it, and that's Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So this was at Goodwill. It was like $1, and I had to get it. I read Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, and I really enjoyed that. I have Warbreaker. My sister sent it to me years ago, and I still haven't read it. But Mistborn, I know everybody loves Brandon Sanderson. So I have it. I'm intimidated by Brandon Sanderson, but I have it. I do want to read these books. They just intimidate the heck out of me. So, yeah, I got this one. The next one that I picked up at Goodwill for like $1 was one that I've wanted to try out for a very, very long time. It's literary fiction, I believe, but that is I Fell in Love with Hope by Len Colley. And it says, a group of terminally ill patients vow to live the rest of their lives to the fullest, a love that transforms and transcends. Against the unforgiving landscape of a hospital, a group of terminally ill patients embraces the joys within their reach: friendship, freedom, rebellion. Each in their own way is broken. Each in their own way is stronger for it. In the midst of pain and loss, they find community, even miracles, and together they are determined to reclaim from life what illness has taken from them. But a singular heartbreak has led one to swear off love forever. The risk of experiencing another tragedy feels too great. Yet in this desolate place where it seems impossible for love to make an appearance, a door opens, and so do hearts. So I think this one is going to make me sob. I really do. But I'm really curious about it, and it's such a beautiful cover. Like, I really want to try it out and see if I actually like it, because it's just something different than what I normally read, and I think it is going to make me cry, but I'm really excited to try it and see if I do like it. Next up, this one, oh my god, I was so excited. I sent a picture of it to my sister as soon as I found it, and I was like freaking out. So I had returned some books to my library. And outside of my library, they have this bicycle that's set up that has like a little cupboard cabinet thing on it, this little box on it, that it's a little free library. And I always check it just out of curiosity. Most of the time there's nothing good in it, but I always look just out of curiosity because it's right there. And I could not believe what I found. I found in that little free library on just a random day, I found Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Not only that, the fact that this book just came out not too long ago, but it is signed. Holy crap, I cannot believe it. So I snagged this immediately. I've heard really good things about this so far. I think Sid gave it like 4 or 4.5 stars, and I've heard good things. So I'm really intrigued. I definitely want to try it. I know that some people like think that some of the perspectives in this are like not really necessary or not as good, but I'm really curious to try it out. And I cannot believe that I found this for free at a little free library that's signed. I couldn't believe it. So of course I had to grab it. And I could not believe that I actually found it. The next one was one that I actually did buy, and I'm really curious to try it. I'm very nervous to try it, but that is An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating by Cecilia Edward. This one is about a woman who is having trouble finding love. She's getting to where she's like 39 years old, and she is still unmarried, and she's living like 300 years in the past. And then something happens, one of her potions goes wrong, and she's sent to the future, to our times, and she is having to get an opportunity at meeting a guy in our century compared to 300 years ago, where she's considered a spinster. So I'm really curious to try this out. I don't know if it would be any good, but I'm really curious about it, and I'm really excited to try it. Okay, I'm gonna change my battery because it's almost dead, and then we can finish this. So I'll be right back. Hold 1 second. Fresh battery, we're back. So next up, the rest of these are also from Little Free Libraries, but next up I have 1984 by George Orwell. I don't read a lot of classics, but I've heard about this one for years and I've never actually tried it. So when I saw it at the Little Free Library, I thought maybe I could give it a shot. It says 1984 has come and gone, but George Orwell's prophetic, nightmarish vision of 1949 of the world we were becoming is timelier than ever. 1984 is still the great modern classic of negative utopia, a startlingly original and haunting novel that creates an imaginary world that is completely convincing. From the first sentence to the last four words, no one can deny this novel's power. Its hold on the imaginations of whole generations, or the power of its admonitions, a power that seems to grow, not lessen, with the passage of time. So I'm definitely curious about it. I like dystopian books, so I'm really curious to give it a shot and see what I think of it and if it's one that I might enjoy. So I don't know when I'll get to it, but at some point I will. Another one, I have gotten this book before and I got rid of it because I didn't know if I would actually have any interest in it, and it really, really intimidates me. But I've heard that it's fantastic. And that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This one is supposed to be like an academia, like, I think people like compare this with like Bunny a little bit. It says, under the influence of a charismatic classics professor, a group of clever, eccentric misfits at a New England college discover a way of thought and life, a world away from their banal contemporaries, but their search for the transcendent leads them down a dangerous path beyond human constructs of morality. It says it's an accomplished psychological thriller, absolutely chilling. Tartt has a stunning command of the lyrical. So, I don't know a lot about this. I'm very nervous to try it, but I am really, really curious. So, do you think I'll like it? I hope so. Next up are two that I've never heard of. They just caught my eye, and I figured I'd give them a shot because they were free. Because, you know, I have issues. The first one is Keeper of Stories. This is by Sally Page. It says, everyone has a story to tell, but does Janice have the courage to unlock her own? It says it's a charming, uplifting debut novel full of humor and depth that has taken readers around the world by surprise. Everyone has a story to tell, but does Janice have the power to unlock her own? She can't recall what started her collection. Maybe it was in the fragment of conversation overheard as she cleaned a sink. Before long, as she dusted a sitting room or defrosted a fridge, she noticed people were telling her their stories. Perhaps they had always done so, but now it is different. Now the stories are reaching out to her, and she gathers them to her. Cleaner Janice knows that it is in people's stories that you really get to know them. From recently widowed Fiona and her son Adam to opera singing Geordie, the quiet bus driver Ewan, and the pretentious Mrs. Yeah and her fox terrier Decius, Janice has a unique insight into the community around her. When Janice starts cleaning for Mrs. B, a shrewd and prickly woman in her 90s, she finally meets someone who wants to hear her story. But Janice is clear. She is the keeper of stories. She doesn't have a story to tell. At least not one that she can share. Mrs. B is no fool and knows there is more to Janice than meets the eye. What is she hiding? After all, doesn't everyone have a story to tell? So it sounds interesting. I read one a while back that was a mother-daughter story that had to do with books that was more of like a literary fiction, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm really curious to try this and see if it's one that I enjoy. I've never even heard of this book, so hopefully it is a good one. And then the last one I have for August that I picked up, like I said, I don't know anything about it, but I figured I'd snag it and try it out, and that is the Friday Night Knitting Club. This is by Kate Jacobs. Says like Steel Magnolias set in Manhattan. So it says, once a week, an eclectic group of women comes together at a New York City yarn shop to work on their latest projects and share the stories of their lives. At the center of Walker and Daughter is the shop's owner, Georgia, who is overwhelmed juggling the store and single-handedly raising her teenage daughter. Happy to escape the demands of her life, she looks forward to her Friday night knitting club, where she and her friends, Anita, Perry, Darwin, Lucy, and Casey, exchanged knitting tips, jokes, and their deepest secrets. But when the man who once broke Georgia's heart suddenly shows up, demanding a role in their daughter's life, her world is shattered. Luckily, Georgia's friends are there for encouragement, sharing their own tales of intimacy, heartbreak, and miracle making. And when the unthinkable happens, these women will discover what they've created isn't just a knitting club, it's a sisterhood. So it kind of sounds like book club and the First Wives Club and some of these movies that I really enjoy. So I'm really curious to see if this is kind of like along those lines, and then if it's one that I might enjoy. Okay, so that is it for August. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 books in August. That is way too many, especially since I've only read one. Now, we'll get into September. So we're at 15 right now, and let's get into September. So again, I'm going to talk about the ones I've already read first. So the first one that we have is Tourist Season by Brynne Weaver. This is the first in her new Seasons of Carnage trilogy that she's coming out with, and I read this. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Big surprise there. Brynne Weaver is one of my absolute favorite authors. She is absolutely amazing. Her books are so much fun. I didn't even hesitate when I got this book. I don't usually annotate in my books, but I immediately started underlining with the content and trigger warnings because that's what had me hooked in the very, very beginning of this book and in the Ruinous Love trilogy. I love them. I love them so much. So I read this. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars and it is mine and I'm so happy for that. And now I have to wait who knows how long until the next one comes out. The next one that I picked up was actually The Rainfall Market by Yu Yang Wang. This one, I read it and I loved it. I gave this one 4.5 stars and I really, really enjoyed it. I had never heard of it. I actually was just watching one of Sydney's videos this morning and she mentioned this book being on her like 25 to read in 2025 or something like that. And it was on there and I didn't even realize it, but I read this and I loved it and it was amazing and I'm so glad. Okay, those are the 2 that I read. We're on a roll. We're on a roll. The rest of these I have not read yet. I want to soon, but I have not started any of these yet. Well, actually, no. I lied. I am currently reading at least one of them, and I have plans to read the rest, or a handful of them soon. But either way, we're just going to go down the pile. So, Little Free Library, again, I got First Light Wins by Ashley Elston. I have heard mixed things about this, but I've never read from this author, and so I'm really curious to try it out. It says, Evie Porter has everything a nice Southern girl could want. A doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence, a tight group of friends. The only catch, Evie Porter doesn't exist. The identity comes first, Evie Porter. Once she's given a name and location by her mysterious boss, Mr. Smith, she learns everything there is to know about the town and the people in it. Then the mark, Ryan Summer. The last piece of the puzzle is the job. Evie isn't privy to Mr. Smith's real identity, but she knows this job will be different. Ryan has gotten under her skin, and she's starting to envision a different sort of life for herself. But Evie can't make any mistakes, especially after what happened last time. Evie must stay one step ahead of her past while making sure there is still a future in front of her. The stakes couldn't be higher, but then Evie has always liked a challenge. So it sounds interesting for sure, so we'll see if it's any good. Next one I picked up was one that just randomly caught my eye at Barnes & Noble. It is from Orbit, and that is The Mercy Makers. This is by Tessa Gratton. Never heard of this author, but this one I was super curious about, and I'm really excited to try it. I haven't read anything from Orbit for a while, and I need to get back into it because I know I love their books. So, it says, a heretic must decide between forbidden magic and the ecstasy of forbidden love in the start of a decadent, romantic, epic fantasy trilogy. Irisette is a prodigy and an outlaw. She dons the mask of her alter ego, Silk, to create magical disguises for those in her father's criminal organization, but she longs to do more with her talent. When her father is captured and sentenced to death, Irisette must infiltrate the imperial palace and its fanatical ruling family. There she realizes she can bring down the entire corrupt system by getting the emperor and his sister to trust and even to love her. But love is a two-way street, and Irisette's own heart holds the most mysterious and impenetrable magic of all. So it sounds really interesting. I'm really, really curious to try it out and see if it's something that I enjoy. It's like the perfect size chunky fantasy too. I love books this size. It's a big paperback and it's just got that right thickness to it. So it is 536 pages or so. So it's just right in that, like, where you can really sink your teeth into it and really enjoy it as a book. So I'm really, really curious to try this out. It's always a little bit intimidating at first, but they always end up reading really quickly for me, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to pick it up. Next up, I got this one at Goodwill for like $1, and that is Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance by Ruth M.E. Lang. I don't really know a whole lot about this, but I feel like I've seen it and heard about it, but I don't even remember what it's about. It says, finding magic in the ordinary. Orphaned, raised by wolves, and the proud owner of a horned pig named Merlin, Waylon Gray knew he wasn't like other people. But when he single-handedly stopped that tornado on a stormy Christmas day in Oklahoma, he realized just how different he actually was. That tornado was the first of many strange events that seemed to follow Waylon from town to town. Although he doesn't like to take credit, as amazing as these powers may appear, they tend to manifest themselves at inopportune times and places. From freak storms to trees that appear to grow overnight, Waylon's unique abilities are a curiosity at best, and at worst, a danger to himself and the woman he loves. But Mary doesn't care. Since Waylon saved her from an angry wolf on her 11th birthday, she's known that a relationship with him isn't without its risks. But as anyone who met Waylon will tell you, once he wanders into your life, you'll wish he'd never leave. So it sounds like it's going to be really interesting, and I'm definitely curious to try it out. It's not very big, and so yeah, we'll see if I like it. Next up, I remember hearing about this one years ago when it first came out, but I never actually tried it, and now I still want to, and I found it for $1 at Goodwill, so I bought it. And that's The Cartographers. This is by Peng Shepherd. And it says, there are some maps you can get lost in. Nell Young's greatest passion is cartography. Her father is a legend in the field and Nell's personal hero, but she hasn't spoken to him since he destroyed her reputation after an argument about an old cheap gas station highway map. When her father's found dead in his office at the New York Public Library with the very same map hidden in his desk, Nell can't resist investigating. And I'm going to stop reading right there because I don't want to read anymore, but it sounds like it's going to be really good, and I really want to try it out and see if it's one that I like. I like the kind of mysteries that are interwoven with things like this, so I hope I like it. Next up, technically these three books are for my husband because one of them he has with him right now at work, but he got Born of an Iron Storm by Anthony Ryan. That's the second book to A Tide of Black Steel. And he got that one right after it came out. We were going to buy it the day it was released from Barnes & Noble, but they didn't have a copy, so we had to order it. When I ordered that one for him, I also got Graver's Blood and Blacklight Born by Alexander Darwin. This is the second and third book to the Combat Codes series. That he read the first book, really enjoyed it, and he wanted to finish the series. So when I ordered the one, I ordered these two as well. So now he can read the whole rest of the series. And so technically they're for him, but I want to read them too. So we do have these. Next up, this is one that I'm currently reading. This was kindly sent to me by the author. He asked me to read it and review his book, and that is The Second Greatest Inevitability by Michael Grabowski. I'm currently reading this one right now. I've been reading it today. I'm about halfway through it, or a little over, and I'm not really sure what to think of this one yet. So you'll have to stay tuned for my full thoughts. That should be coming out on Friday this week, and so you'll have to stay tuned for my full thoughts on this one. I'm not really sure what I would think of it right now, but I'm definitely intrigued. And so yeah, working on reading this one. Next up, I got Never the Roses by Jennifer K. Lambert. This one sounds like it's going to be kind of a cozy fantasy where a girl has decided to leave the world of war and fighting and things like that, have a quiet life, and then she kind of has a thing with a rival who is a librarian, and there's magic and there's companions and animal friends and things like that. It sounds like it's going to be a really great cozy fantasy. It's blurbed by Sarah Beth Durst. I will be reading this at some point this month, so I'm really excited to read it and actually be able to talk to you guys about it more in depth, but I'm not going to say too much about it right now because I am really looking forward to this one. And then last up, finally, the end, I got Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Denneman. Sydney convinced me that I needed to buy this book. It sounded like it's going to be so much fun with the death race, like orchestrated games aspect of it, or televised games. It sounds like it's going to be a really great time, and I'm really excited to read this and see if I like it. I'm really nervous though. I'm really nervous. So that is it. That is everything that I have hauled in the months of August and September. Have you read any of these? Are you curious to hear my thoughts about any of these? Please let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If there's ones you would like me to prioritize, I would love to hear that as well. Thank you so much for being here, hanging out with me for a little bit, and I will see you on Friday with another video. Bye.